And then I see it this evening where Charlie Kirk takes a break from being the Pied Piper to double down on his real position, which is, no, it's the Muslims. It's this Muslim influence. Hamas is making everyone hate Israel. We love Israel. We get to criticize Israel, but Hamas is propagandizing Americans and making everyone hate Israel.
We've got Nick going after Charlie Kirk, and this one gets right to the heart of Charlie's Israel stance. He calls out how Kirk always finds a way to shift the blame away from Israel's actions and onto some outside boogeyman. In this case, Muslim influence and Hamas propaganda. Let's roll it.
I just don't understand how people don't see how transparent this is at this point. What even is there to say right now? The Council on American Islamic Relations is the #1 foreign lobby? What are you talking about? We gave Israel $8 billion so far this year. I think it's actually 12 if you factor in the entirety of the aid. We gave Israel $30 billion last year. We are vetoing resolutions against them in the United Nations, voting against them in the General Assembly, sanctioning Canada for recognizing Palestine, and they say it's CARE? It's the Muslim lobby which is more powerful? And it just goes to show
that's just absurd. CARE doesn't even come close to the influence of AIPAC or the broader pro-Israel network in Washington. You don't see Congress members lining up to pledge loyalty to CARE. You don't see billions of dollars in aid funneled to CARE's homeland. The idea that they're the top foreign lobby is laughable, and yet we've got Americans living in tent cities, veterans without health care, and crumbling infrastructure. But sure, let's send tens of billions overseas, and then we're told we can't criticize it because the Muslims might be influencing us. The logic is just insane.
And it just goes to show for anybody that would say, I think Charlie Kirk is waking up. I think Charlie Kirk is one of us now. He's red-pilled. No, guys, no. Absolutely not. None of these people are red-pilled. None of these people are good faith actors earnestly seeking the truth that discover the red pill, which is the reality-destroying realization of who's really in charge. None of them fit that description. They were all part of the system. They were then, are now, and will be tomorrow a part of the system. They knew the entire time.
I agree completely, and people keep falling for the he's changing narrative. Charlie will toss out a spicy take here and there to keep that illusion alive, but when push comes to shove, he defaults to the establishment line. That's not waking up, that's playing the audience. They know the score, but they've built careers, networks, and financial incentives around not saying the full truth. And once you understand that, you stop waiting for them to wake up and start recognizing their real job and keeping you in line.
Do you think Charlie Kirk didn't know that Israel controls politics when he was taking money with both hands, hand over fist, from Zionist Jewish donors? You think he didn't know? You think he didn't know when he was taking money from Bernard Marcus, from Ike Perlmutter, when he was having to attend Shabbat and having to observe Jewish holidays, when he was taking money hand over fist with both hands from Jewish donors telling him, listen, Charlie, Israel's our most important ally. You think he didn't know? He knew the whole time.
There's no way he didn't know. These kinds of high-level political operatives get fully briefed on who their donors are, what their priorities are, and exactly what's expected in return. Playing dumb about it now is just a way to protect his brand while keeping the checks flowing. Those names Nick is mentioning aren't random. They're heavy hitters in pro-Israel political funding. If you're cashing checks from people like that, you're not ignorant of the agenda. You're tied to it, period.
He knew then, knows now, because he was a part of the system then, and still is now. He is not a normie like you with no interface with politics that stumbled upon the truth and became disturbed. This is his business. He's a part of it. And what actually has happened is that since so many of his constituents at his organization, at his events, since his target demographic, his audience became red-pilled to the thing that he was complicit in all along, now he has to pretend. He has to simulate what we have all gone through, which is, oh, I like you. Thought one thing, but now I realize something else.
For him, politics isn't about discovery or principle, it's a career. And careers in politics are built on relationships, funding streams, and message discipline. Truth comes second to keeping that machine running. He's not changing his mind, and he's changing his tone. It's brand management, not ideological evolution.
But this is a carefully calculated persuasion campaign to emulate us and to feed us, once again, the same narrative, which is complacency. Look the other way. What about this? What about the Muslims? What about the Council on American Islamic Relations? We're not anti-Semites. We just have this criticism. But if you think it has to do with Judaism, you are a hater. It's not even that subtle. I don't believe it's subtle. It's actually very abrasive. It's actually very blatant. But if you are a confused, disoriented normie, you might not notice the difference. But now I've made it plain for you to see. And the same is true with Tucker. We talked a lot about that on Friday.
That's the danger. Not outright lies, but strategic mimicry. They borrow just enough language from the dissident crowd to keep people docile and thinking, okay, someone's speaking for me now, while never actually challenging the core power structure. Once you spot it, it's glaring. The only reason it still works is because most people haven't been trained to look for narrative manipulation. They take the show at face value.
Tucker is a gentleman who worked for Bill Kristol. Bill Kristol is the son of Irving Kristol, the godfather of neoconservatism. And Tucker worked for him at the Weekly Standard. The Weekly Standard, run by Bill Kristol, was the preeminent neocon publication pushing the war in Iraq. That was 25 years ago. And he started 30 years ago. You're telling me Tucker didn't know he got red-pilled like you and me? His dad was at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, which was funded by the Mega Group, the same group that funded Jeffrey Epstein, a group of Jewish pro-Israel billionaires. It was basically a cutout for Israeli intelligence. That was his dad.
Tucker's early career roots are deep inside the very establishment he now claims to criticize. It's like saying you started your career in the control room of the system you later claim to expose. If your father is working in an organization bankrolled by one of the most powerful donor networks tied to intelligence and foreign influence, you're not exactly an outsider.
And you're telling me that Tucker, like you and I, got red-pilled? Here's the difference. People like Charlie Kirk and Tucker and the rest of them, they spend their time with billionaires. They spend their time in Washington, D.C., in New York City. They live different lives. They're different people. People like you and I, we come from places like Chicago. That's where we live. You might live in Indianapolis. You might live in Omaha. You might live in Dallas or Phoenix or wherever. You might live in Rockford. You might live in Janesville. And you may live your entire life without ever encountering a billionaire, let alone having 10 of them on speed dial. Maybe you visit New York, you take a picture at Times Square. Maybe you visit Washington, D.C., you take the tour of the National Mall, you visit the Smithsonian museums. The way that we engage with politics is fundamentally different than the way they do. You are watching the television that they make. You are on Twitter reacting to the content that they put out, that they generate. When you get red-pilled and become aware of these things because an alternative source bypassed Fox News and the influencer slop, that is unique to you.
Their awakening narrative doesn't hold water when they've been in elite circles their entire careers. They're not discovering the truth, they're managing it. These populist voices claim to speak for regular folks, yet their reality is shaped by constant contact with the donor class. It's impossible for that not to influence your priorities and what you're willing to say publicly. They decide what narratives get pushed and what gets left out, and the audience is reacting to a reality these figures curate.
They knew those things all along. They're involved in gatekeeping that information. They're involved in putting everything other than that in front of you all the time, the rest of the time. So when people say, oh, I think Tucker's getting red-pilled, no. Tucker is the human blue pill. So is Charlie Kirk. That's their job, was to create this manufactured media perception. And when you step outside it and 100 million other people do as well, then they're playing catch up. They got to tag along and say, oh, yeah, me too. I became aware of this too. I was ignorant the whole time. I'm just like you. I'm a normal guy. Not the case.